Hey everyone! Welcome! We're all early today. Let's see. See who's here. Saw Kai say something first. Hey Kai! Always good to see you. And Cosma as well. Flo Purdy. It's hard to say your name. Flo Purdy. I don't know why. Let's see who else. I also saw Keith. Who else do I recognize? A couple other names. Russell, I haven't seen you before. Oh, that makes sense. I see you're trying to write there. This is my first live, so that's why I haven't seen you. Welcome. We've got Journey with Esther, and Carmen Cardenas is my best attempt at saying it accurately from the original Spanish language. Welcome, welcome. Few new people here. Superfluous. Sammy Kerr. Okay, a few people who it's their first live stream. Well, that's great. You've picked a really good live stream if you're looking for an interesting Korean grammar form that you probably won't get anywhere else. Unless you Google it, you could probably find a few other lessons about it. But this is going to be the best lesson. I guarantee you, the best lesson you've ever heard about the grammar form we're going to be doing today. But before we start today's lesson, I got to give you some bad news for all of you who are thinking this is just going to be a walk in the park. If you can't read this, I know it's a little bit hard. Might be a little too difficult. If you can't read this, the lesson today is just going to be a little bit above your level, just a little bit. Now, if you can kind of read this, like if you can recognize that it's the Korean language, you could probably stay. I'll say that. I don't want to be too strict. But if you can read this, you're going to be really well prepared for the lesson we're doing today. Welcome, welcome. It's about yes. I'm trying to think of another hanja with nyong besides the one used in this. We tried. Kai, I'm sorry. I was thinking about you when I wrote this up. I'm like, I hope this doesn't, remove Kai, but I just have to set standards somewhere. Instructions unclear. Yes. Yeah, the reason the prerequisites are so low today, I didn't want to put up nothing, but because we're going to be doing an intermediate level lesson today, which is clearly not beginners. The reason it's so simple is because the way to make it is you just copy paste. It's ridiculously easy to make the form. Using it will require knowing how to speak Korean. You'll have to already be able to make sentences. You'll have to already be able to say the nuance that this form is going to express. You're going to have to already know how to say that, or else why learn a specific, like a form that's used in specific situations to say something that you could say generally with other words already. But besides that, it's very easy to use and very easy to understand. So I think it's fine for any level. Just know that you're not going to get any usage out of this until you're probably at the advanced level, honestly. You're not going to get much use out of it until the advanced level, if at all. I mean, it's a form I never use. I mean, I know it. It's easy, but I don't think I've used it. Maybe once, ever. Yeah, it's just not the most, it's not my style of speech. After all I and Adobe have done for you. Well, okay. That is true. You make a good point, Kai. Okay. I realize I've been a bit unfair with this prerequisite. So how's that? Is that better? Can we work on with that? Can we do that? Is that okay? Fine. Hold. Okay. If you can read this, I've lowered the prerequisites as much as possible. If you can read this, we're good to go. Still? No? Hold 1 sec. Okay, I think I made the prerequisites a little bit easier. I hope now it's okay. Please tell me it's okay. I really can't lower them any further than this. Are you wearing your hat weirdly, or are you close? Oh, I think I was wearing it. I think it was like this. You're right. I had it weird. There we go. Let's do it like that. Okay. It still looks weird, but a little less weird, I guess. Hey, Kat. Happy to report that Seoul is fine in August. Yes, it's hot. That's an understatement. But it's Seoul. You can't fool me. I was in Korea in July, and it was horribly hot and humid. And yeah, I mean, can't say it's too much here better here in LA though. It's pretty hot in LA too, but next April's better. Next time I'm aiming for fall. Yeah. My favorite month to be in Korea is probably actually May. And after that would be October, I think. Yeah, because you don't have to deal with the cold and you don't have to deal with the heat. Yes, it's okay. I don't teach English. We teach Korean here. I've seen this form sometimes in some Korean books. You probably have. Billy, when's the next video of Jeremy getting books? We filmed one actually in July. It was filmed right before I left Korea, and I've edited it. It's ready to go. I could show you, but I won't. You'll have to wait. It's probably not going to be uploaded, honestly, until like next year or maybe December or January, just because I have so many other videos I filmed in Korea before that, which you'll see first. And probably before you see that video, you're also going to see a few other things. You might see another K-pop analysis series, which I'd like to film. Maybe next month I'll do that. And then also you'll see the podcast, hopefully, before the end of the year. So you might have to wait longer than that. But I did notice you and Kai talking about the Korean series, 읽으면서 바로 써먹는 whatever comes after it. My kid loves that book, that series. And we also got another one of those this time. It's a really good series. It's for Korean kids and they teach lots of different things. And it's for like Korean kids to learn things. Mostly they're like Korean language related, but they do have some other stuff like math or like English expressions or Sudoku. And those are all still good for learning Korean. They're all still for Korean kids. Even the English one is actually useful for learning Korean, believe it or not, because all the explanations are in Korean and it's still made for a kid. So they're like simple explanations. I started getting books from Korea and I'm interested in finding more books. Okay, yeah, you'll have to wait on that. I'm sorry. I don't know when I can upload it. It's not going to be soon though, but it was filmed already. I've been using so many apps to learn Korean over the past year, but your videos have helped me understand so much that the apps neglected to cover. Nice. Let's see here. We go in October. We've been to Korea twice and are going again next year. Nice. The beginning of October can be a little bit hot and the end of October is like perfect usually, as well as the beginning of November. But the end of November can get kind of cold. So it's like if you get there during the right time, but I think generally though October is pretty good. It's not too hot and it's not cold yet. So you just get kind of the end of summer and I think it's not too bad. So if I have to pick a whole month, I'll pick October over November. I'm going the end of November. It'll be a bit cold, though it's not like freezing cold. It's just like wear a coat and wear 2 coats if it's in the morning or night cold, but it's not too bad. You can do everything you would want to do in the end of November. It's not like freezing yet. It might snow, but it's not too bad. I would go to Korea. If I go to Korea a second time each year, it would always be sometime in November anyway. MC says, I'm thinking about going to Korea in December. The tickets are so cheap. I'm surprised the tickets would be cheap. I know some people like going over to Korea for like their winter break. I mean, if you have no choice, go to Korea whenever you can take it, whenever you can take the trip. Don't like wait for the perfect time. But if you can be picky, I would say avoid the winter. I'd actually recommend summer over winter for that reason. Like when it's hot in Korea, it gets like gross. It's like 90 degrees Fahrenheit. It'll be really humid. So you're going to feel sticky even if you've just taken a shower. It's gross. You don't want to be outside and you'll get sunburned if you're in anywhere that doesn't have lots of like shade or trees or something. But you can still do anything you want during the summer as long as it's not walking outside for a long time. The winter though, you might think it's better because, oh, it's not too hot. I can just wear more clothes. Yes, but also no. Like places are going to be covered with snow. Like a lot of the places you might want to go hiking and walking, which you couldn't do in the summer. Well, you also can't do them in the winter because now it's frosty and slippery. So that's out. And now in summer, you could still kind of go down and go underground and hang out in like shopping areas or walk around and just stay in the shade. In the winter, now you're gonna have to be like bundled up. You're not even gonna want to like pull out your phone because your fingers are gonna be freezing. I don't know. I just think you'd be kind of miserable in both. But if I had to pick one, I would say go in the summer over the winter. So I would personally not recommend December, January, or February, and maybe March as well. Like those 4 months I would try to avoid just for that reason. Even though it's cold, which I prefer as a human, I prefer being in Korea during the winter. But if I was a tourist, I would want the other. I'd prefer being in Korea during the summer as a tourist. Oh, hey, Glass Artist. Thank you. Let me check what Glass Artist wrote. 1 second. Wow. And just like that, we have a producer for today's live stream. And their name is Glass Artist. First name Glass, last name Artist. Middle name unknown. Let's see what Glass Artist says. 상사님, 안녕하세요. Enjoy seeing all the podcast progress you're making. Your hard work is very much appreciated. Thank you. And thank you for giving me a good excuse to mention the podcast. Hold on. Yeah, I've been working on a podcast and I posted a link in the chat to see updates about how it's going. If you are curious what the podcast is like, what's going on with it, what is it going to be? Am I actually working on it? Yes. Check out the post I just made. There's a free version, which is just public and anyone can see, just like gives you some pictures and stuff. But then if you are one of my Patreon members, you also get to watch well, there's something on my lens. Oh, the whole lens is broken. I forgot. There's also a paid version for any of my Patreon supporters where you can watch a 9-minute long video where I actually show you everything that I have. So I show you all the props. I talk about all the things that the podcast will have, show you set design, some animations I have, and equipment, as well as you get to see you get to hear and see the new microphone we're going to be using. It's not this one. It's a much better one. And yeah, everything's in there in the 9-minute video. You also get to suggest topics and guests and stuff like that if you'd like. And I hope that I will have some more updates in another maybe couple weeks. I just actually have now, as of yesterday night, I have crossed the $3,000 spent mark. So, which is good, right? So I've now spent over $3,000. Oh God, on on the podcast. And the good news though is I've almost got everything I need. There's still another few hundred I'm going to need to do to pay for shipping from some stuff from Korea, which is a whole other story. I'm actually talk about that briefly in the podcast video if you watch that. And I still have to get a couple other tools for construction, and then I have to get some software, and then I have to build the set, which is going to be fun, but at least I have now almost everything. I've got like 90% of the stuff that I need to have for the podcast. Wasn't the budget like 1,500? Originally, the budget I had set, like before I really thought about it too much, I was thinking 2,000, but when I calculated it out, I realized everything I need is going to be about 2,500. And I think I was pretty accurate on that because I've spent over that now, but that was before we did a fundraiser for it. If that fundraiser had just barely been met, I would have kept the expenses down and purchased different things that I ended up getting. Like I wouldn't have gotten a better microphone. That alone was over $500. So we would have been just under, I think, the amount if we had just hit that as the goal. But since we hit the stretch goal, it allowed me to spend more to get better quality set stuff. And yeah, yesterday I got I don't want to spoil too much. I'll say yesterday I got all the wood that I need for the set, and that was fun, and that also hurt my wallet, but it'll be worth it. It'll be good stuff. We're making quality stuff here. MC says, the reason I'm hesitant is I don't remember what winter feels like. Oh, yeah. December won't be the full winter, though, yet. It'll be wintry, but, like, the real, like, you'll hate to be in Korea winter is in January. That's when it's like windy and super dry, and you have to carry around hand lotion just because your hands are gonna get so dry. You'll have to wear gloves. Like you can't walk around without gloves. You're gonna need like neibo. What do they call those? Like the clothes that you wear underneath your clothes to keep you warm. Thermals. That's the word. Neibo in Korean. And you're gonna just have to have that stuff or you're gonna freeze. And you're gonna need, like a hat. You're gonna have to have earmuffs, a scarf, like a shirt, an overshirt, a coat, like everything. December though is not. I mean, it's good to have all that in December too, but you're gonna need it in January. I've been out from YouTube in your lives. We don't do dabs anymore. We do, but they are requested now because I realized that they took up a lot of extra time in the stream when we were getting donations and doing a lesson. So I still do them. I'm still happy to do them, but I now do them when the person who donates requests to cash out. The exchange rate is currently 1 dab per dollar per US dollar. So I have to do some conversion, but there are no fees on that. I'm not giving you any, there's no conversion fees. It's just 1-to-1. Seoul summer equals bingsu every day. Bingsu every day. Oh my God. If you do want bingsu, I really recommend, I mean, it's a really common brand, so it might sound funny if you know this, but Seolbing. Seolbing is just a really popular brand of bingsu in Korea. And they have some other places too. Seolbing in general, I think is okay, but the Seolbing mango, they have a few items there, like they have one with like melon and stuff, and they're okay. The mango is where it's at. If you can get the mango bingsu, it is incredible. I think they have some that are mango and then mango with cheese. They're really good. Get that. It's just a big ball of soft shaved ice with like yeonyu, which is like sweetened condensed milk, I think, or something, and then chopped mango, and then chunks of kind of like soft cheese, and you just eat it all together. Oh, it's so good. Yeah, that's really good. We kicked in more because he was so excited. Yeah, it worked. I was really happy that the fundraiser went well and that we ended up raising enough for it, because I started thinking about the podcast and the set seriously, and I realized that in order to make it the way I actually want to make it, it was going to cost a lot of money. And that was probably the reason why I had never done a podcast already, is just because I knew deep down that in order to make a podcast the way that I wanted to make it, not just an audio podcast, but focused on audio with a video element, would cost a lot. So that's why I never did it until now. How long did it take to learn Korean? I've been learning Korean now for over 20 years. It doesn't take you 20 years to learn Korean, though. You can learn Korean in a couple years, maybe less if you're like living in Korea and practicing it every single day. But yeah, it can take quite a while, and it depends on how you're studying and how much you're studying. He says underlayer. Oh yes, cheese on ice cream. Yes, so it's more like, it's not cheese on ice cream, but it's like a sweet cheese that works well with ice cream, if that makes sense. We didn't try the mango, we did try the cheese. Black sesame at another place was also yummy. PayPal. I know what that means. Hold on. Just randomly say PayPal. I know what you're doing. Hold on. I never have PayPal open on my computer. I have to check it manually. No. Hold on. Maybe. Let me check. I don't see it. I normally get an email. Why did I get an email? Maybe it's late. No, nothing came in. Okay. I thought someone was saying PayPal because they sent a donation from PayPal. Sometimes people do that, but then I don't see anything. So maybe it didn't go through, or maybe you were just saying the word PayPal. Don't let me stop you. Just walk around like Zelle, Venmo, PayPal. Cheesecake. I saw Seolbing also had cheese flavor. Yes. Keith says, inconceivable. That's right. Forgot to hit send. LOL. Okay, I'll check it in a minute then. Any other questions before we get started? We still have like 5 minutes left before the actual lesson starts today. 셔츠가 몇 셔츠를. So you don't want to do 가 because you're not saying 셔츠가 있어요. You're not saying 가 있어요, but you're saying 가지다, which is to have something, which is using the object marker because you're like directly having it. Literally, 가지다 means like to hold. So you're saying, how many shirts are you holding? Literally, if you use that. How many shirts of those do you have? I think it's like 6 pairs of these. This shirt. 6 of these. That's not fun. It's better to be like, what are you talking about? I only have one. This is my only shirt. Oh, okay. I just got, oh, thank you. Let's see. Who is that? That's Kat. Thank you, Kat. Kat sent via PayPal a donation of $10 million. I can't believe it. I seriously can't believe it. I'm just gonna cry. But I don't have room on the board to write it. It's so big. So I'm just gonna write 10. I hope you don't mind. I'm not minimizing your donation at all. I can't fit on the board. So we're gonna keep it at 10. Thank you so much, Kat. Still want to see Bizarro Billy. Yeah. It's gonna be, the inside shirt will be this checkered pattern and the outer shirt will be a white button-up shirt like this. And maybe the hat will be backward if we can do that. Maybe something like that. And Bizarro Billy doesn't speak Korean. Bizarro Billy maybe teaches English or speaks another language. I don't know. All right, we've got 3 minutes left before the class starts. Any other Korean questions or Korea questions before we get started? Oh, and for the podcast, I wanted your suggestion. What's better? You can write in dolls red and green. So the podcast is going to be called Billy Goes Into Korean or Korea. Which one do you like? Do you prefer Korean more or Korea more? I have a preference. There's one I'm preferring, but one of my friends mentioned an alternative to me, and I'm like, I don't know. I want to know what you think. Keep in mind the podcast is for people who are learning Korean primarily, and it'll have lessons, grammar lessons, study tips, practice experiences, what went wrong, all this sort of stuff, as well as like specific grammar lessons. But it'll also have short segments on things like culture or current events, travel expressions, sometimes food, current, just stuff like that as well. That's kind of more general about Korea. Let me do, okay. I don't want to do it like this. Give me 1 second. Let's see. Can I do a, hold on. I don't know if it's going to let me do it on here. Oh, I'm going to do it on 1 second. Okay. Let's do this the right way with a poll. So I made a poll that'll be easier to manage instead of having to count how many B's and A's we have. Got some B's, got some A's. Unless you're only doing language. It's not only language. I'll say that. It's not only the language, because if you're learning Korean is more than just memorizing grammar and vocabulary. don't think that's like a controversial thing. I think pretty much all you already understand that when you're learning Korean, you're also learning about the culture just naturally. Like, what are you going to talk with Korean people about? Are you going to talk with them about grammar rules? Like, no, you're going to talk about your favorite Korean food, where you went in Korea, where you want to go, you know, all these different things. So it's all a part of learning the language. So that's why it'll also include other things that aren't the language, but are part of things that you would need to know, like trends that everyone in Korea is currently aware of, stuff like that. I don't want to give away too much stuff. Okay, one more donation, and then let's go on to the lesson. Oh, Kai. Thank you, Kai. Thank you, Kai, for that generous $5 donation. Props to you for teaching KR. What does KR mean? Some obscure short word. I'm not sure what that means, but I'll try to understand it by the context. When you didn't go to school for it. I'm doing a language exchange with my KR. There's that word again. Okay, well, let's try reading it without and see if I can understand. Thanks for teaching something when you didn't go to school for it. Maybe you're talking about Korean? Okay, well, let's just pretend KR means Korean. All right, I think I can do it. Props to you for teaching Korean when you didn't go to school for it. That makes sense. Yeah. Okay, you're welcome. I'm doing a language exchange with my Korean tutor. Okay, that makes sense. And trying to explain grammar that we use is hard. Yes. Okay, I get what you're saying. Yeah, I didn't get to like learn Korean in a classroom environment. I mean, it's not really a flex or anything, but I think if you have that opportunity, it's great if you can do it. If you can do it in Korea, that's even better. But thank you. And yes, teaching English is very difficult. PayPal wouldn't accept my money. Yeah, they denied your credit card. They denied your reverse mortgage. Oh, let me just close this. Okay, let's start the lesson. Okay, let's start our lesson. So, let me check the results of the poll. Okay, it's as I thought, and it's also the preference that I originally had, and that is Billy goes into Korean, which wins with 62% of you preferring this over Korea. Now, I think both of them are good. I'm not trying to like say I really couldn't pick. Like, I kind of already picked this one, but at the same time, I'm not the one watching the podcast. It's going to be you out there. So wanted to see what you guys thought. But yeah, so I'll leave it how it was, as I was thinking. Okay. We're going to be learning an intermediate level grammar form. And let me show you how it works. Let's do verb stem. Let me give you a 10-second abbreviated version of what this form is and how to use it. You take a verb stem, so hada would just be ha, and you attach 고 말고, just like this, no spaces, yo if you're being polite, and it means of course. Now, let's do the full version of this lesson. But really, that's what it is. You take a verb stem, so let's take the verb stem 좋아하다, to like. 좋아하다's verb stem is just 좋아하. Okay, so we get the verb stem and we attach, no spaces here, 고, 말, 고, and we're done. And if we're being a little more polite, 요. And this means, of course, 좋아하다, to like. Of course I like it, or they like it, or someone likes it. Of course I like it. 좋아하고 말고요. That's all there is to it. Now, I could end the lesson here and just give you some example sentences, but let's talk a little bit more about some details about how it can be used. I mean, that's pretty much it, but there's a little more. I'll leave this up though just for a second. Korean fits better because I feel like Korea would make people think it's all about travel or something like a vlog. Fair enough. Yeah, it won't be, although it will have like half of the podcast will be for about Korea related stuff, and the other half will be specifically about Korean stuff. It'll be a good mix, but it's not like majorly just for like talking about travel or something like that. I thought KR meant kimchi ramen. That would be, let's see if that fits. Props to you for teaching kimchi ramen when you didn't go to school for it. Okay, I don't think it fits. Is that like verb and not verb and then? So I'll talk about that in a second, Keith. Actually, not a second. It'll be at the end of this segment. Okay. So this form, as you know, as I explained, this form is a verb ending. So it ends the sentence. And because it ends with either just ko or koyo, it cannot be used in formal speech. Meaning, it's only going to be used in informal conversation, such as just with your friends or regular acquaintances. You're not going to use this on your TOPIK test when you write your essay. You're not going to give a speech with this if it's supposed to be like a formal speech. If it's more of like a casual speech or, you know, a regular, if it's like a speech you might just give in front of your peers in a class, probably okay. But it's not going to be like a very formal form. It's more of a spoken form. Let's see. Okay. So I said this form means of course. But then how does it mean of course? Like, does it just mean like you're saying, of course, I like it, the end? If so, how is it different than other words that also mean of course? For example, there are like a dozen of these. I'm just giving you the most common two. 물론 means of course. So I could just say 물론 좋아해요. Of course, I like it. 물론 좋아하죠. Yeah, of course I like it. 당연히 좋아해요. Of course I like it. So these already mean of course. So then how is this grammar form any different than those ones? There are a couple things that make this form a little unique from other words that just mean of course. First of all, this form is not used to say of course when you are just saying something on your own without context for it. Like, for example, if I was going to say, I'm a Korean teacher, and of course, I know how to speak Korean. You would never use this form to say that. Why? Because this form is only used when you are replying to someone else. Meaning, it doesn't just mean of course, it means of course. I heard what you said, of course. That's the kind of nuance that this form has. So, instead of just saying like, of course, I think for sure is another way you can think of it, right? For sure also means of course, but it's of course like I agree with you. It's only used when you're replying to someone else. Basically to say, yeah, I agree, of course, for sure. Like that. Not just to say, of course, when you are studying Korean, the most important thing is Hangul. You cannot say that with 말고요. You cannot say that with this form because there is no replying in that kind of sentence. You would just use 물론 to say that kind of thing. Again, this form is only used when you are replying to someone. You get it? You know what I'm saying? For sure. Of course. That's how this form is unique. So you still will use the other words that mean of course. 물론. Of course. 당연하다. Something to be obvious. It's evident. That is of course. 당연하지. Of course. Like that. But this one is for replying to someone. For sure. Yeah, for sure. Yeah, I like it for sure. Okay. Gonna wait a second before, okay, 1 minute, and then I'm gonna continue with the lesson. I don't want to rush. Can I say this to my boss? Asks Kai. Depending on your relationship with your boss. If it's like a really structural company like Adobe, probably not. But to your section manager, probably. If you're going out to eat with them, you talk with them on a regular basis, yeah, it's probably gonna be fine to use this because it's not, you might not be using formal speech to them anyway. You're just gonna be using polite speech to them. Alexander suggests something else. They said, if you want something else, how about karate recipes? Hold on, let's see that. Okay, Kai said, props to you for teaching karate recipes when you didn't go to school for it. You know what? That is accurate. I never went to school for karate recipes before. And you're doing a language exchange with your karate recipes tutor. That's a really specific type of tutor. And you're trying to explain grammar to your karate recipes teacher? Well, that would be very hard. I'd agree with that. Quibberdoodle says, 말고 means except. It does, but that's not what this form is. Let's see. I need a whole lesson just for all of the, of course, word nuances. That's what we got today. How many PDFs are there in your live stream worksheet collection? Like 200? I don't know how many. It's every live stream I've ever done, except for like the first dozen where I was just doing them off an outline. They didn't have worksheets yet. All of them have worksheets except for the very early ones. So I think there's like 200 in there, but you'd have to check. 그렇고 말고요. And what else? Could be. That's a very good observation, Raymond. Do you have any idea how hard it was to track down a karate recipe tutorial? I'm not going to ask. I assume you had to play Fruit Ninja for hours. Okay. And then, if you want another equivalent, let's not say it like that. An easy way to think about when you would use this form is if you add this expression to the beginning of a sentence, then if you want to say of course, it's probably going to be okay. 그럼 or 그럼요. 그럼 and 그럼요 are an expression that means of course, like I agree. Yeah, you're right. So you might use this actually in sentences that have 고 말고요 because it kind of serves the same purpose. This is an expression that just means yes, of course, I agree. 그럼, 그럼요. It's not the same as 그럼 다음에 또 봐. That's 그러면, shortened. That's different. Although this also is 그러면. Don't think about it like that. It's different. It can be used together with 그럼 or 그럼요, meaning yes, of course, you're right. So you might see a sentence 그럼 something something 고 말고, like that. So, there's one more thing you need to know. This form is not typically used with negative sentences. By negative, I mean when you're saying, of course, it doesn't. Of course, I don't. Sentences that have an before the verb typically will not use this form because it sounds kind of awkward. However, it's okay to use it with the verb 없다. The reason? Because I think the reason is because 없다 just doesn't feel like a negative, like it's not doing something. It feels like just a unique verb in Korean. But it's not going to be used with like 안 하고 말고요. You're not really going to hear that. You could do it. It just sounds a little awkward. The reason is because when you're saying 고 말고요 in the first place, you're saying, yes, of course. For sure. I agree with you. I do not like it. Like, it kind of sounds like a mismatch with the usage. So you won't see it used much with, if ever, with negative verbs, with exception of 없다, which it sounds okay with. 없고 말고. Now, the origin of this is unknown. We don't really know where it's from. There are some theories. It could be like it's from the cool form with like whatever, and like 말고, like whether it is or it's not, it doesn't matter. Or it could be like, yes, something, and besides that, like what else? Like, yeah, it is, and what else is new? Like that kind of expression. There isn't really any information on the origin. But the good news is, you don't really have to care about the origin. It's just used as one word. It's just used as one grammar form with no spaces. So you don't have to really think of it as a combination of anything else. It's just its own thing. Okay. So let's do some example sentences. Let's see, is this one I can give you? Okay. Actually, I have to give you the first one. 숙제 다 했지? 숙제 homework 다, all of it, completely. 했지? You did all your homework. You did all the homework, right? 숙제 다 했지? You did all the homework, right? So if you're replying to this, like, for sure, of course, then you could use this form, in which case you could say, of course I did all of it, right? So, how might you say that? I wasn't going to let you do this first, but I'm going to let you do this first. I want to see if anyone can get this. If you don't get it, don't worry. I'm going to explain the answer when I give it to you. But I'll give you a minute first, see if anyone can get this. So you want to say, yeah, of course I did it all. What would you say? Chopping broccoli. A class on chopping vegetables and karate recipes would be fun. Beth said, guess who didn't read the video title? 13 hours in that Adobe basement. Oh, that's it? I thought they would have had you work in there like 24 hours a day. 13 hours? Okay. Now I don't feel so sorry for you. 13 hours, that's not a dungeon. That's not too bad. I'm seeing different K-drama scenes where people are replying with these expressions flashing while you say them. Yes. I don't want to say who's right and who's wrong. I'll just say I've seen some good answers. Okay. All right, so about half of you got it right, half you got it wrong, but before you might think that's like, oh, dang it, I got it wrong. Really, don't worry. This is your very first exposure to this form. This is a freebie, really. So, we want to answer, of course. Yeah, of course I did all my homework. So, we're going to reply, oh, yeah. 다 했어요. Yeah, I did it all. But we want to say, of course I did it all. So you get the verb stem of the past tense form. So 했어요. The verb stem is always just the one that ends in these two letters. And we attach 고 말고 to the end of that. 다 했고 말고. And we're done. So this form can use the regular stem if you wanted to say, like, yes, I do all of my homework, present tense. But in this case, it's yes, of course, I did all of my homework. In which case, 다 했고 말고. Of course, yeah, I did it. 다 했고 말고. Yeah, of course I did it all. Like that. Okay. If you didn't get it, just look at the sentence and tell me if it feels okay to you. Why you would use the past tense and not the present tense in this sentence. Colin is asking a question. Colin wants to know, what if you say 당연히 다 했어? Then your sentence is, of course I did it. Is your sentence correct? Yes. Is your sentence natural? Yes. Does your sentence mean, of course I did it? Yes. What's the difference between this form and that form? Yes. I mean, the difference is, as I explained, this has the nuance that you're agreeing with someone. You're not just saying, of course I did it, because you can say, of course you did it without someone else having to say something first. You could be talking to yourself and being like, yeah, I had homework today, and of course I did it. And then later today, I'm going to be going to meet my friend. It has nothing to do with replying to the other person. Whereas the 고 말고요 form, or 고 말고, means it has that nuance of, I agree with you, for sure. Oh yeah. It's like the, yeah, of course, like, duh. That sort of nuance is what you get from this form. 당연히 does not. 물론 does not have that, because it's just simply saying, of course, as expected, clearly, yes, I do say, yes, it must be. Like, that's all that 물론 and 당연히 have. Although 물론 and 당연히 are also slightly different. We're not going to be getting into those during the lesson, but you can ask it after the lesson if you want to know about, like, intricate details between all of the different forms. But this one has that, oh yeah, for sure. That has this has that, yeah. Okay. Let's see, how am I on time? Okay, we're good on time. This is right. Yeah. Okay. 파김치. 파 is green onions. Or what do you call them? Green onions? There's like another word for it. I can't remember. Anyway, 파김치 도. So also green onion kimchi. So kimchi made using green onions. 먹어봤어요? Have you tried eating green onion kimchi before? And you want to reply, for sure, of course. I've tried eating green onion kimchi before. Of course, for sure. Yeah, for sure. So how do you say it? Give it a try. Maybe this will redeem you. You can try it this time. If you've got it wrong last time, again, that didn't count. This is your real chance. Let's give it a try. You can do it. Do it. Scallions. Yes, that's the word I couldn't think of. Ah, you scallion. Or rapscallion. What is it? Can you call someone a scallion? Was that pirate speak too? Yar, you scallions. Yar. Swably deck, you scallions. I be off. Avast, ye scallions. Can you say that? Okay. Spring onions. Interesting. Okay. Right. Yes. Woohoo! I like this. Okay, you're redeeming yourselves. Furra. Quick, redeem yourself by cheating and see what the other people wrote, because they have it. George, I'll give it to you, George. Yes, I'll give it to you. Even though you're not using the 보다 form, your sentence is still grammatically correct. So I'll give it to you. Farah, you just want to check your tense. Other than that, your sentence is good. Just check your tense. Yes. Yar. This is unrelated, but if you have any Korean friends who need help pronouncing the letter R. I kid you not. The best way that I found to help them with that is tell them to become a pirate. Practice speaking like a pirate. So, because Koreans cannot, in English, we make the R sound, in case you didn't know. So here's a mouth. We make the R sound by putting the tongue in and squishing it a little bit back, but it doesn't touch the roof of the mouth, right? It doesn't touch our teeth when we say R. It's floating in there, but it just squishes back a little bit. So Koreans can't do that. There is no sound in Korean that does that. And they're not used to doing that unless they've learned English extensively like living in a foreign country. But what can help them is they can make the pirate sound R, just like we can. So have them practice that. Have them practice the pirate sound and then use that R sound to say an English word that starts with or ends with the letter R. So like, for example, you can say, try saying R, and they're going to say R. They can do it. Now say R raspberry, and they're going to say R raspberry. They're going to do it. They're going to do it perfectly, I swear. So this is a little trick that I figured out from lots of stress of trying to get my Korean friends to be able to pronounce the letter R. Okay, back to the lesson. 파김치도 먹어봤어요? Have you tried green onion kimchi before? And you want to say, yes, of course, I've tried green onion kimchi before. What we can do is, oh no! That also got to fix Kat's $10 million donation. Okay. You want to say, of course I've tried it. So you say, 네, yes. So normally you'd say 먹어봤어요. 네, 먹어봤어요. Yes, I've eaten it. I've tried it before. But in this case, you want to say, yeah, for sure, I've tried that. Of course, I've tried that. Yes. 네, 먹어봤고 말고요. Don't say it like that. 네, 먹어봤고 말고요. Yes, of course, I've tried that. Yes, like that. I don't know if this is like 18th century England or Seinfeld. Yes, of course, I've tried it. I'm agreeing. I strongly agree. Of course. Okay, I'll leave that up for just a second. Does it have to be the exact verb the speaker first used? Mafaz, I want you to think about your own question. Would there be a situation where you wouldn't repeat back the same word that someone used? Like if you're saying, yes, of course, I agree. It's going to be the same thing they said. It's going to be repeating back either the exact same verb or the same thing that they're asking. First, I need Korean friends. That's probably difficult, more difficult than teaching them how to pronounce R. RL, Earl. That could work. I mean, there are like lots of different exercises you can do to perfect sounds and get faster at doing them. This is like the first step into even getting there is you have to be able to make the sound to begin with. And Koreans cannot make that R sound without having lots of practice. They also can't do L correctly, but at least they can touch their tongue to their teeth. It's a little bit better. But the R is like, it's not something they can do. Oh, Flo, I was just looking at the chat and I saw it pop up right when it popped up. Thank you, Flo. Wow, very generous of you. I needed this today. I did, because yesterday I was at the hardware store. No joke, I was out of the house from 1 p.m. until 9:30. Although the last hour I was getting dinner, so I guess it doesn't really count. But at least until, we'll say 1 to 7. I was out at the hardware store picking out wood and spending lots of money. But it's okay. We got the set. We got the pieces for the set. Thank you, Flo. I really appreciate it. And you say bottom of the hour. That is true. It is the bottom of the hour now. 2:29, 2:30. Yeah. No, why did I just can't believe I did that. I was trying to be so careful not to touch your name, and then I like shoom, just like swiped off your donation in one half of a second. Okay. So, it should be pretty self-explanatory now how this form works, but I've still got a few more example sentences. In fact, I've got 4 more example sentences to really hammer it home. Okay. 주소 is an address. 제대로 means correctly, accurately, legitimately. It's an adverb. 쓰다 is to write. So 썼어, past tense, write, wrote. So the address, correctly, legitimately, accurately. Did you write? Did you write down the address correctly? 주소 제대로 썼어? And you want to say, yeah, of course I wrote it down correctly. How would you say that? You can make a short sentence. You can say, of course I wrote down the address correctly. Or you can just say, of course I wrote it correctly. Or you can say, yes, of course I wrote down the address correctly. If you want to make it a really long sentence for no reason. It's up to you. How would you reply to this in Korean using the form 고 말고? Give it a try. When I put my tongue on the roof of my mouth, the R and L kind of merge into each other, if that makes sense. How can English speakers practice the lir? That's another trick. I've explained in other videos before, so this isn't the first time I'm revealing it, but you actually practice by saying the letter D. You say D without, I'm sorry, you don't say the letter D. You say words that start with the letter D, but you make the D as soft as you can until it sounds like an L. So that doesn't seem like if you hear that, it's like, what? Doesn't make any sense. How does it sound like an L? So pick a word that starts with a D. It doesn't matter what it is. Let's just say dog. It can be anything. Now say that D as softly as you can. Dog, 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 dog. It kind of sounds like it starts to sound like an L. When it feels like it's going into an L, let it become an L, but don't move your tongue. The tongue is still from the D spot. That is the lir. That's the letter. When it touches that spot, I mean, when it ends a word or is in the middle of a word, it's that spot. When it starts a word, it's that spot. So it can sometimes sound a little bit different depending on where it is in the word, but it's that same spot of your mouth where it goes and it ends. It never is an R and it never is an L in any situation. It never touches the back of your teeth like an L, and it never shrinks into the back of your mouth like an R. So yeah, don't let anyone tell you it changes and becomes R and an L. It doesn't change. It's always the same spot. But the sound you'll hear from that can slightly change, whether it's hitting that, like 말. It's not 말. It's never touching the tongue. It's never an L. 말. It always goes up to that same spot. Or when it starts there, 사랑. It might sound, it sounds like an R. No, it's still the same 당, like that. 타. So you practice ta. Sorry, not ta, that's Korean. You practice English version, dog or dream or anything you want, but just replace it with the L sound. Make it really soft. Say butter. Yeah. Butter. Yeah, we kind of do it in some English words. Like we'll kind of get there. But it's something like you don't really think about that you do. 제대로 섞고 말고요. Yes. I see some people have gotten it. Yes. 초등학생이 아니잖아. 주소 제대로 섞고 말고요. So you wouldn't need the you at the end, but unless you're trying to be all like cutesy, in which case it's okay. But yeah. I'm not an elementary school student. Yeah, of course I wrote it down correctly. Okay. You could reply. Let me write the answer here. 그럼. Of course. Yeah, I'm agreeing. 제대로 섞고 말고. Of course I wrote it down correctly. 그럼 제대로 섞고 말고. 그럼 제대로 섞고 말고. Of course I wrote it down correctly. Okay. The next one I want you to do I wrote that really wide. Do that again. Okay, let's do one that's in the present tense. We've done a couple that are in the past tense. So, someone's asking you, 조금 무거운데. So it's a little bit heavy. 근데, 대 is like and or but. Most often it'll be like a but meaning. So it's a little bit heavy, but 괜찮아요? Are you okay? It's a little bit heavy. Are you okay? Like, are you okay? Are you okay carrying that? It's a bit heavy. Kind of like that. To which case you could reply, of course. I'm okay. So this will be a short sentence, but I want you to write that. Yeah, of course I'm okay. Like that. I'm so bad at 반말 the 요. It's just a reflex. Well, it's better that you have a reflex to add a yul when it's not necessary than to remove it. I'll say that's way better because you can use the yul form with your friends if you're speaking playfully, like if you're pretending to speak politely with them. I mean, you can use formal speech too in that case. And I do too. So I sometimes with my friends, I'll use polite speech or formal speech with them in situations where I want it to sound like I'm being extra, like overly polite to sound either cute or playful or like I'm mocking them, like if you're teasing them about something. So it's okay. But it's more like an advanced usage of the forms because you have to not just say it with that form, but you also have to match your body language and your face, like your expressions, to that form so that it's obvious that they know that you know and you're just using it jokingly. Screen crashed, just gonna refresh it. Okay. So, how would we reply to this? We're going to say, yes, of course. 네. So we can reply like this. 네. Yes. 괜찮다. To be okay. 괜찮고 말고요. Yeah, of course I'm okay. For sure, I'm okay. 저 힘세요. I'm strong. Yeah, of course I'm okay. I'm strong. 네, 괜찮고 말고요. 저 힘세요. Like that. Okay, I'll leave this up for just a minute before we go on to the next sentence. Hannah says, would it be possible that the other person could take it a bit bad? Like, of course. Who do you think I am? A bit aggressive. Yeah, I get what you're saying. It could be if you're saying something that's of course that they wouldn't already know. If it's like obvious that you're saying something, then it could be the same way it could be in English. Are they going to take offense to it? No, you're clearly someone who's not a native Korean speaker. They're not going to take offense to it. However, if you look Korean, you have like, you've got the worst hand if you look like a Korean when it comes to Korean. Like you could do everything right and it's not going to be good enough if you look Korean. But if you don't have that, you get the foreigner card. It's called the 외국인 찬스. So the foreigner chance. Chance is like a chance card. It's like you're like one of the phone a friend or something from Who Wants to Be a Millionaire, like that sort of special thing you get, like a privilege. But no, they're not going to be offended at it. They're going to think you just misused it or that you didn't know quite what the nuance is. They're not going to think, oh, how dare they? But if you wouldn't say, of course, in English, then don't say, of course, in Korean or whatever your native language is. What's the difference between ne and ye? They're both yes. You can use either one, but ne is going to be a little bit more common. Ye can sound a little bit more polite if you want to compare them, like really splitting hairs, but they're both yes. You can use either. Bench press. Of course, I'm okay doing a bench press of over 200 kilograms. What are you, like Batman or something? Okay, next sentence. Just two more, and then we're going to go on to our last form for today. Actually, I think that's, yeah, oops, there's no space here. Let's do a little bit more difficult example. Let's write this a little bit nicer for you. I can do better than that. Okay. This is a little bit more advanced. Teishigan is not te like my. It is teishigan meaning on time. Teishigane. So on time. 끝내다, to finish up something, to complete something. 끝낼 수 있다, to be able to finish something. 끝낼 수 있는, oops. 제시간에, on time. I'm starting over. I'm going to start over because I've already messed it up. It's going to be a pain for me to edit this now. Okay. 제시간에, so on time. 끝내다, to finish. 끝낼 수 있는, to be able to finish. 사람, so a person who can finish on time. 없겠죠? There's not going to be anyone who can finish on time, is there? 없겠죠? There won't be, right? So, there won't be anyone who can finish it in time or on time. Is there? Is what this is asking. And the person who replies to this is going to be saying, yeah, of course. 없어요. Of course there isn't. Of course no one can finish this on time. The deadline's too short. 제시간에 끝낼 수 있는 사람이 없겠죠? There's no one who could finish this on time, is there, right? To which we can reply, of course not. So how would you say, yeah, of course not. 없어요. But with the form 고 말고. I'll give you just a minute to write that. I look Japanese. Sorry, you now look Korean. That's how it works. You should have a series called Splitting Hairs, where you go into the nuances of like everything. That's a good suggestion, Beth. 네, 아마 없겠고 말고요. So it's not 아마. Remember, you're not saying maybe with this form. You're saying of course. So of course. Of course. So maybe has no place in the house of course. Okay. I'm reading some of your sentences. I'm not going to say which ones are right, but they all seem pretty right. Do you do beginner lessons? Yes, Crochet Bunny. I have a full beginner course on my channel that's completely free. Let me post a let me share a link to that. 1 second. That should work. There we go. Okay. Yeah, I have 3 full free courses. That's the first one that I did. It has 100 episodes, so I'd recommend that. Okay, let me give you the answer. 그럼요. Of course. 없고 말고요. There isn't. 없고 말고요. Of course there's not. Yeah, of course. Of course there's not. Now, 그럼요 already means of course, but it's like, yeah, you're right. Of course there's not, is what you get. So it's commonly used with other expressions that also mean, yes, of course. just because this form also means like I'm agreeing with you. Yeah, for sure. Of course there's not going to be. Of course there's not. Okay. Next sentence and last sentence. And then there's another related form I'll go over really quick that you'll see as well. Okay, last sentence. Last sentence is going to be a little shorter. Okay. 혼자 갈 수 있어요? 혼자 is by yourself. So 혼자 갈 수 있어요? 가다, to go. So can you go by yourself? Can you go alone? To which you're going to reply, yeah, of course I can go alone. How would you write that? Yes, of course I can go alone. Why is this? There we go. Okay. Nuance is more friendly, nay than yay. Could be, because yay has that slightly more polite feeling to it. So they're by definition, the one that's more polite has a less friendly feeling to it. Yes. Yes. I don't want to say who's got it right because I don't want everyone to copy them, but I'm just saying yes to throw you off so you don't know. Yes. 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 Oh, that's good. Okay, cool. Yes. Okay. So you're going to reply, yes, of course I can go alone. So we're going to start the sentence by saying, again, 그럼요. Yeah, of course. Oops, I ran out of space. Let's try that again. Let's go to the next line. Okay. 그럼요. Of course. 혼자 갈 수 있고 말고요. 있고 말고요. So of course I can. 혼자 가다. Go alone. 그럼요. 혼자 갈 수 있고 말고요. Of course. Yeah, for sure I can go alone. Okay, I'll leave this up for just a minute and then we're going to go on to the next form. There's one more form which is very brief that we're also going to talk about before we end the lesson. A Korean told me I sound like an ajoshi if I keep saying yeah. Yeah. Yeah, I mean, because it sounds a little bit more polite. But if you're in a situation where you want to sound extra polite, you could use either. I mean, you still could say ne or yeah, you're fine. But if you really want to sound a little bit extra more polite, then use yeah, just because it has that extra polite feeling. It also has a slightly older feeling. You'll hear it used in older, like the not variety shows. What's that? Historical dramas. 사극. So if you're watching historical dramas, the characters are going to probably use yay for yes instead of nay, just because it has more of that fancy feeling to it. Do I need to say 혼자? If you want to say I can go alone, you're not just saying, yeah, of course I can go. You're saying I can. The question is, can you go by yourself? So you're answering, yeah, of course I can go by myself. You probably wouldn't answer, yeah, of course I can go. You would, because it's not about whether you can go or not. It's about whether you can go alone or not by yourself. Okay. There's one more form that also has the same meaning as 고 말고. And here's how you make it. Let's see. You take a verb stem, so 하다, you just get 하, and then you attach 바바다. 바바다. You might be thinking, well then Billy, why don't you just say take the verb and attach 마다? Well, because just like with 고 말고, you might also want a past tense verb stem. In which case, you can get het. Oh, I wrote that really weird. Hetabada. So just like before, you can have present tense or past tense, but that's all it is. Then, if you want to be polite, just like before, you can attach yo to the end. So you could have hadamada or hadamadayo. Same thing as before. There also are no spaces, just like ko 말고. It's written all as one word. And let's see what else. Yeah, that's all there is to it. Now, it also means, of course, for sure, it has the same usage and meaning when you're as the other form. But if there's any difference at all that I can think of, it's that this one is a little bit less common than ko 말고. Besides that, it's the same thing. I'll give you a couple example sentences in a second. I hear Yoo Jae-seok use ye when speaking to elderly people. That's a good, it's good that you're watching those shows. It gives you exposure to hear, like, when do Koreans use these expressions? And yeah, that's a good one. Because it has that a little bit extra politeness feel. Maddie said, sorry. Maddie says, repeating exact phrases is much more common than in English. Yeah, because it's okay to repeat the verb when someone asks you a question. It's okay to repeat the same verb back to them. Whereas in English, we don't. We'll just say yes, like I did. Like, did you clean your room? We wouldn't say yes, I cleaned. We'd say yes, I did. But in Korean, I did. There is no just. You wouldn't just say, oh, 했어. You could say, oh, 했어, but it's also common to say, oh, 청소했어. Like, yeah, I cleaned. So it's okay to repeat it once. If it's someone asks you a question, you can repeat what it is once. This is like more of a general, how do people speak sort of thing, not a grammatical rule. Because you could also just say, yeah, I did with hada by itself, but it's okay to also use the full verb again. I think that's kind of what you're talking about. Like, it's fine to say, yes, I can go by myself. Whereas in English, it's like, can you go by yourself? We'd probably just say, yeah, I can, right? But in Korean, it's like, I can what? Because the su ita form, which means can, has to attach to a verb, right? So obviously it has to be 가다, 갈 수 있어요. Yes, I can go. But then it's like, can you go alone? Yes, I can go. Sounds kind of weird in English as well. Like, you would say, yeah, I can go alone, right? If we're going to go through the trouble of saying I can go, we're at least going to use the whole phrase again. So there's like reasons for it, but if you don't want to think about all the technical details, just know that if someone asks you a question, it's okay to repeat it back using the same verb. That's the short answer. It's like a pilot talking to a control tower. Yeah, that's a good analogy. Okay, so let me give you an example. This 알아요 or 알아? Oh yeah, okay. This one's a little messy. Someone asks you, 철수도 알아요? Do you know 철수 too? 철수도 알아요? How would you reply? Yes, of course I know him. How would you reply that? Yes, of course I know him. But this time we're going to use 밤하다. So go ahead and give it a try. It's easier than you think. I mean, if you're fine with 고 말고, it's literally what I explained it is. There's no tricks here. Okay, go ahead and give it a try. Do you also know 철수 too? Wow, how do you know 철수? Yeah, we'd be like, duh. 철수도 I don't want to repeat it because I don't want to give away the answer so other people can just copy, but I'll just say I read your sentence. Good job. Yes. 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 Oh, small typo, Keith, but yes. Yes. Okay, just another 10 seconds, and then I'm going to give you the answer, because this one's kind of short. I'll go ahead and start writing it. Okay, nice. 물론이지. Of course. 알다 마다. Again, 알다, to know. So, 알다 마다. Of course I know him. Yes, of course I know him. 물론이지. 알다 마다. Of course I know him. Okay. And our last sentence. 파리 is the word for fly, or it's also the word for Paris. 파리도 가봤어? 파리도 가봤어? Have you also been to Paris? Have you been to Paris before too? And you want to reply, of course I've been to Paris. How would you say it? Of course. I've even seen the Eiffel Tower. Of course I've been to Paris. So how would we say it? Again, it's a little bit trickier because you might want to use past tense here because it's 가봤어, have you been? But other than that, it should be the same thing as before with 고 말고. Please don't hurt me. Charsu can't hurt you. Charsu's not real. It's not a real person's name, you know, right? There's not really any Charsus out there. I've been making fun of and using his name for all sorts of things for decades. There can't really be a Charsu out there, can there? Oh, that's sour. Okay, just 1 minute to write your answers. Yes, of course I've been to Paris too. How would you say it? While you're thinking of the answer, I'm going to write down one more answer. Well, one answer you can use. Hold on. While I turn on my air conditioner, check to see if it's still on. Okay. Okay, let's see what else we got. Yes. Yes. Okay. Mafaz says, my brain just went 가봤지. Well, that's an answer. It's natural. If you were talking with someone, you said that, they would never know you didn't know this form. But using this form, you can say, 가봤다 마다요. So, 가봤어요. Yes, I've been there. 가봤다 마다요. Yes, of course, I've been there. 에펠탑. Top means tower. 에펠 is Eiffel. So the Eiffel Tower. 도, also the Eiffel Tower. 받는 걸요. I also saw, actually. 직접 is directly. In this case, you can translate 직접 as in person. Like I was actually there. 가봤다 마다요. 에펠탑도 직접 받는 걸요. Yeah, of course I've seen it. Of course I've been there. Like that. I've even seen the Eiffel Tower in person, actually, is what you're saying. This form at the end, 걸, is used after adjective form of a verb to mean like you're kind of softly disagreeing with the other person said. Like you're saying, actually, no, it's more like this is what it's doing. So it's actually, I've actually, 봤어요. I actually saw in person directly the Eiffel Tower too. Of course, I've been there. I've even seen the Eiffel Tower in person. I've even seen the Eiffel Tower in person, actually. Actually. Okay. That is our last sentence. I'll leave this up for just 10 seconds before I erase it. Riot says, you said it's more casual. Not casual. It's not casual. It's informal. And that's a bit of a technical word, though, so I should explain that informal means simply not formal. So informal includes casual. It also includes any regular polite speech, like your everyday regular speech. It can include honorifics. It doesn't matter. It's just that it's not formal speech. So it's going to be used in spoken Korean. We tend to abbreviate. So the reason it's not is because this is an idiomatic grammar form. So it is what it is basically the short version. But it's, if you want to add that feeling of like, yeah, for sure, of course. If you don't want to add it, you don't need it in the sentence. So you don't need to use it and make your sentence longer. You could just make a shorter sentence and say, 가봤지. 가봤어. 가봤어. 에펠탑도 직접 받는 걸요? Yeah, you can use it like that too. But if you want that feeling of, yeah, for sure, of course, then that's an extra nuance you're adding to the sentence, which makes it a little bit longer. But it's not much longer. It's here 3 or 4 syllables, depending on what you're comparing it to. And that is our lesson. Let me take a quick thumbnail photo. I always just pretend like I'm pointing at something. Maybe I'm going to be confused this time. There we go. That'll be the thumbnail. There is no live class next Sunday. So we did one last Sunday and we're having one today. So next Sunday will be off. And then the next 2 Sundays after that, we'll be back on. So I'll see you again in 2 weeks from now. But before I go, I've got about like 20 minutes or so, 30 minutes maybe. I don't know how long it'll be. I'm free to take any Korea or Korean questions you might have. And let's talk a bit. Let's just hang out. So yeah, that's the lesson though. So now let's go on to whatever you'd like to talk about. Yes. Yeah, I feel like some of those terms like formal, informal, casual, polite are not, I think they're not distinguished enough from what I see generally in most online lessons. I see people kind of misusing them or like using them interchangeably. They are quite different, but yeah, that informal basically just means not formal. And informal includes pretty much everything that you know for Korean. But it's, to be technical, yeah, it's not formal. And you wouldn't use it in your speeches and like your official formal speeches or like your tests. But it's not fair to say it's a spoken only form because you can also write what you're saying like to your friends and stuff like that. But yeah, you can just think of it like that. It's just not it's not a formal fancy form. It's more like an idiomatic expression. Okay. 타워 아니냐고. Tower? Yeah, top. Top means tower. So what is formal Korean? Yeah. News would be the stuff you hear on the news. You're going to hear in presidents or politicians giving speeches, or more commonly in companies that are like giving speeches or presentations. You're going to use it if you're giving like a presentation to a boss in a formal situation. You're going to use it if you're talking with your parent and future parent-in-laws, like the first time you meet them. You're going to use it if you're giving a speech, like in a formal, like in a actual, like a, not a casual situation, but like a speech where you're supposed to be kind of polite. You're going to use it if you are in the military. If you wanted to join the Korean military, you're going to use formal speech there. You're also going to use it to service workers when you want to sound polite, because the regular polite speech doesn't necessarily have an extra polite feeling. It just sounds polite enough. If you're doing regular, like more, like 이에요, 해요, like the yo form like that, It's not really like extra polite. It's just enough polite. So if you want to sound extra polite to a service worker, you can use formal speech as well. And it sounds good. It sounds like you're just trying to be extra polite to them. You can use formal speech for a lot of set expressions, like a lot of common expressions, like thank you, excuse me, I'm sorry. Lots of those things default to formal speech because their regular equivalents in informal speech, even with the yule form, sound a bit not polite enough. Like 감사합니다. 감사합니다, it's like just thank you, but that's actually formal speech because 감사해요, even though it's also polite, it sounds not respectful. It sounds like you're just saying it to your friend. So you wouldn't say that to like some worker that's bringing you something because it sounds like you're not being very respectful to them. So there are a lot of set expressions that use it too. And then there are a bunch of other cases where you do use formal speech. It's used all the time is kind of what I'm saying. But with your conversations, most of the conversations you're going to have are going to be all in informal speech. What phrases do you use for very important people? Describe very important people. Raymond, you mean haote? Raymond's like, that's why I only speak in haote. Yes. Yes, Keith says, 처음 뵙겠습니다 is rigidly formal. The reason for that is not because it's formal speech, because 만나서 반갑습니다 is also formal too. 처음 뵙겠습니다 is formal speech in that it's not as commonly used. It sounds overly fancy. And it doesn't mean like 만나서 반갑습니다 means nice to see you. Literally, it doesn't mean nice to meet you. 반갑다 means to be happy to see someone or happy to see something. Or like even if you finally get to meet another English speaker and you haven't seen someone in like 10 years, you're like, oh man, I'm so happy to see you. Like that sort of meaning is 반갑다. But 처음 뵙겠습니다 has the meaning of this must be the first time I am seeing you. Because 뵙다 is a humble version of to see. So it's like, I am looking up at you. I must be 겠다. Future tense is like used for assuming. So I'm assuming I must be seeing you for the very first time. Is 처음 뵙겠습니다. This is very formal. I must be seeing you for the very first time. Is what it sounds like. So that's the older way of saying nice to meet you. And nowadays we say 만나서 반갑습니다. Oh, I am happy to see you because I am meeting you is literally what you're saying, which is more of just a standard like, yeah, it's good to see you. Polite, but not like, I must be the first time I have laid eyes on thee. Thou art an amazing gentleman or gentlewoman, whatever. I do not care. I cannot see you. You are so high above me and so revered and special. So yeah, you'll never see 처음 뵙겠습니다 outside of a book or like in older style speaking. You're not going to need it today, but it's good to be aware of it. Ayakata said, I like onions. Cool. What's a natural translation for 감사했어요? Yeah, that was something that I was grateful for. You don't hear it too much though. Usually you're saying thank you after something happens, like in the moment. But if you're thinking something for someone in the past, yeah. Any life-saving advice for January in Korea? I did mention this. You don't have to buy this in your home country if you can't find it. Get some naebok. Ne means inside, so it's like your under. Pok is clothing. These are like thermals. So you can get thermals. You can also get in Korea. Oh, I can't think of what they're called right now. I can't think of what they're called right now, but they sell sticky patches in Korea. They're about this big. And you buy them in a package that maybe has 2 or 4. And the way it works is you peel off the back, which is a sticker. And you do not stick it on your skin because it'll burn you. But you put it onto your maybe over your shirt or like over your second shirt or something. You can put like one on your chest, one on your back. You can put them on your legs if you want. If you got plenty of money, they're not that cheap. But you stick them on yourself and you kind of like squeeze them a little bit to start them. And they'll stay hot. They'll stay warm anyway the whole day. I'm like from 6 a.m. to like 6 p.m., they're going to be warm. These are really good. And I recommend sticking some of these on your clothes, and then they'll peel off. They won't leave any marks. So you can put these on your clothes as well. I also recommend getting gloves that have finger holes, but not finger holes, but like if you can remove the fingers. Mine I have where it'll have like a little clip that I can put the fingers closed in the glove and they can be completely closed, or I can pull it back and clip it and my fingers can be exposed. The reason is you're still going to want to use your phone to check like bus times and subway schedules and find out where you're going. But you don't want to have your fingers out when you're just walking. You want to be able to, close it over. So I get that. I also highly recommend getting earmuffs. They sell earmuffs. If you don't buy them, it's not a big problem. You can buy them in Korea for, I think they're $1,000. I think it's like less than $1 at Daiso. They sell earmuffs. And sometimes I'll just buy a new pair because they're so cheap. I'll just get a new pair each time I go. I recommend that. I also recommend get something that covers your hair because your forehead is going to freeze. Your hair is going to be fine, but your forehead's going to be all frozen. So I like getting like can I call it a beanie? Is that what it's called? I don't know what it's called. You know those things, like the cloth things that go over your head. And then if your neck gets cold, a scarf. Mine doesn't. For some reason, my neck doesn't get cold. But if it does, get a scarf. Yeah, that's what I would say. Yeah, get those things for winter and you should be good. Does Korea take foreigners into its military? I don't think so. What's the visa situation when visiting Korea? Do you have to wait a specific amount of time after coming home from a trip before going back? No, there's no minimum time you have to wait. In fact, you're not supposed to do this, but some people will do visa runs where they'll just take a flight to Japan, hang out there for a day, and then fly back to Korea to extend their 90-day visa if they're from the US. You're not supposed to do that, though, and I think if they knew you're doing that, you can get caught. But as far as your question goes, no, there isn't a minimum time. It's just maximum 90 days at a time for the trip. The downside, though, to that, it's pretty big downside, is that you have to constantly interrupt what you're doing on that week to go back and forth and pay for a plane ticket. And it's kind of expensive. It's better just get a visa. Like if you're going to be staying in Korea for a long time, just get an actual visa to stay there. It's not that hard. Have you been translating Shakespeare into Korean? You sound very poetic. Thank you. If I get to meet the president of Korea, yeah, if you did that, you'd want to speak formally. Billy goes poetry readings. Have you mentioned where to get a SIM card? So SIM cards, I've talked about SIM cards before. There are a few companies. I know that, what's the company with an S? CLE or whatever. There's like an S company. If you search foreign SIM card, you'll see one company like they're being advertised all over YouTube that starts with an S. I haven't used them. The one I've used is called Airlo, and I'm not sponsored by them. I wish I got money from them, but they are just another SIM card company. They sell SIM cards for Korea exclusive, or they have an Asian exclusive one, which is like Korea and Japan. I think a couple other countries. So depending on where you're going to go, just get one of those in advance and then activate it on your phone as soon as you can. While you're going through the airport, you're going to be carrying your bag and you got everything. Just like, spend the time while you're walking through the airport just to activate it, and then it'll be good to go. And that's pretty cheap. I think I pay something like $20 a month when I'm in Korea, and it gets plenty of storage for that. Hotpek. Thank you. Yes, Hotpek. Kurpek. They have Kurpek and Hotpek. And they have sticky, but it's not the ones that you just activate by squishing and put them in your pocket. So if you ask for Hotpek, you might get those, which are, we have them in the US too. They're just bags, and then you like squish them to activate it and they get hot for a few hours and that's it. These are not those. These are made of a different chemical and they work much better, I think, because the hot packs, yeah, they get hot for like an hour or two, but the sticky ones are a different material and they last like all day. And they'll only be hot for like, an hour as well, just like the hot packs. But because they're pressed directly against your clothes and because they're flat and thin, they don't just shoot all of their heat into you and then become useless. They like slowly radiate it and your body kind of fills it up again. So just your body heat helps to keep it warm against you. So it works good. Even if the heating power of it wears out, it still feels warm because it's directly against your body, and it helps keep you insulated. So yeah, these are cool. I really like them. The only problem is you have to throw them away at the end of the day. You can't reuse them, and they're not that cheap. I'm going to buy a Soviet hat. I know what you're talking about. Da. Suddenly you can hear the USSR theme playing in the background. I actually had a friend that had one of those hats and wore it in Korea. It looks so stupid because it's just so unnecessarily big. There are gloves that work on phones while covering your fingers. Yes. So about those gloves, the downside is those gloves are thin. And if you're talking about like cold weather, those are fine. If you're talking about actual winter in Korea, they're not good enough. You don't want the gloves that separate your fingers. You want gloves that let your fingers stay together. And those are the kind that have it makes you look like a teddy bear. It's just one flap that goes over all your fingers at once. You want those. They'll keep your fingers warmer than the ones that keep your fingers separate. Now, if you are someone whose hands do not get cold that easily, that's not me. My fingers get frozen before anything else. If you're someone whose hands don't get that cold, then you'd be fine with the gloves that are capacitive where you can use your phone. But you're going to be like putting your hands in your armpits. You're going to be so cold if you're using those thin gloves. So I recommend actual gloves like wool gloves. I know this isn't like anything related to Korean, but these are my pro tips from having experienced Korea winter a lot. Saily, that's the one I couldn't think of. Yeah, I've never used Saily, so I don't know. It's probably the same as Aerolo. Maybe it's better, maybe it's worse. T says, I used a Wi-Fi egg. The problem with a Wi-Fi egg is that you're always connected to the Wi-Fi egg when you're using your phone. You have to carry around a separate Wi-Fi egg to use your phone. Are you going to be always carrying around a backpack when you're in Korea? If so, go ahead and use your Wi-Fi egg. For me, it was annoying because a lot of time when I go somewhere in Korea, I don't want to have to carry anything extra. I just put my phone in my pocket. My phone has my ID, my credit cards, and my phone. And that's it. It just goes in my pocket. And I can walk out of the house with only my phone. And I don't have to bring anything else. It's much better than having to be like, oh wait, I forgot my Wi-Fi egg in my suitcase. So if you prefer, I think the Wi-Fi egg was an older way to get around the SIM card requirement, because in the past there were no such thing as eSIMs. So if you wanted to get a SIM card in Korea, you had to actually physically swap your SIM card in your phone, or you had to have a Korean phone, or you had to have a phone that had dual SIM capabilities. And in the past, those weren't very common. Nowadays, all phones can use eSIMs. So there's no more need for a Wi-Fi hotspot anymore, like there used to be. They're also not any faster either. So yeah, I would just get an eSIM because you can just activate it on your phone and you don't have to carry around anything else. You also don't have to worry about charging a separate device, which is good too. Instead of carrying around a Wi-Fi egg, just carry around an external battery for extra power if you need. Or even just carry around the USB cable, because you'll find a lot of places in Korea have USB charging ports, including most buses. There will be a USB port right on the back of your seat where you can charge your phone. Subways don't, but sometimes subway stations will have little sections where you can sit down and charge your phone. All the airports do. Cafes sometimes will have tables that have USB charging ports on them. Monthly price would be cheaper. Oh yeah, monthly would always be per day. Easy, you could have gotten it cheaper though than $40. Unless you're using like 100 gigabytes, that's an excessive price. But you say airport staff. So if you buy it at the airport, there's really no other choice. If you buy it all the way when you get to Korea, I mean, you pay an extra $20 for what you would have paid maybe $20 for instead. It's not a big deal. It's like pay $20 now or $40 when you go to Korea. Like, okay, it's not a huge difference. But you can get it for cheaper if you do these days with eSIMs. You can get an eSIM from Korea Telecom. You can. However, it's not going to be faster than the eSIMs you can get these days. They work fine too. But depending on which one you buy, you might be able to select the specific one. Like if you know that the area you're in has better service with a certain one or the other, then sure. But it's going to take a lot of research to figure that out. So it might be easier to just say meh and just get a general use eSIM in Korea and not worry about which carrier you're on, because it'll automatically switch anyway. Mittens. Okay. UV says, I have leather gloves. Okay, if you're fine, if you have a pair of gloves you already are fine with in the winter, like actual legit winter, like freezing winter, just use those. Yeah, MC says, my phone operator has 30 days free use worldwide, so I can use it in Sweden. But instead of limited internet, I get 60 gigabytes. Okay. Yeah, a lot of phone carriers these days will have automatic usage in foreign countries. Like T-Mobile does that, but it's really slow. So I don't use it anymore. It was so slow. I could barely even use Kakao Messenger on it. And then Google Fi also has it, but they start getting mad at you if you're gone for more than a month. They'll be like, hey, you haven't been in your home country for a while. We might kick you off your plan. It's not a... And after 3 months, they'll actually like shut you down. They haven't done it on me though, but I was there for just 3 months one time when I had it, and it kept bugging me about that. But it was okay because I went back home after that. But it also wasn't that fast, the Google Fi. So I switched to actually just getting a SIM card. I do the eSIM over there, and now I can get full speed. No one bugs me about anything. Check with your cell carrier is able to add international calling. So depending, I guess, define cheap. Convenient though, it could be a nice convenience fee. I'll say that. If you don't want to deal with installing an eSIM on your phone, which, it's not a big deal, but if you're not comfortable with using your phone, it can be a big deal. Like it can be frustrating and stressful. Like, how do I add an eSIM? Oh, I don't want to scan a QR code, like sign up for an account. What's this thing about recharging my data pool? I get it. In which case it might be worth it to you to just see what your current carrier offers. They definitely would have some sort of international plan, and it might not be that much. It might be like, say, $50 through there versus buying an eSIM for $10, which is like, more expensive. But if you think about the convenience of it, it might be worth it to you. That was my concern. Will the US network, slowness. People say Naver is like Google, but I don't think so. Is there something actually like Google? Yeah, Google. Google works in Korean with Korean websites too. So I'll just use Google too if I'm searching for something. And if I can't find it on Google, then I'll go to Naver, which will have like Korean only results a lot. But yeah, Google has Korean results too. But it depends what you're looking for. If you're looking for blogs about stuff, then no, you have to use Naver for that, because Google doesn't get access to read the information from the blogs. They at least don't show it very much. They only have some blogs on Google, but Naver will just show all the Korean blogs. I paid $20 total for both our lines for a month. Okay, that's not bad actually. I mean, yes, it would be cheaper probably with a SIM, but to be able to just keep using your phone and not worry about any of that, that's not too bad. I do, typically, if you're wondering how much I spend, I buy the $100 package for, while I'm over there for about 3 months. And that gives me like 60 gigabytes or something like that. Like I couldn't use 60 gigabytes in 3 months if I tried, because the only thing I do with my phone besides send messages is live stream. And whenever I do live streaming, I might do like 5 gigabytes if it's a long live stream, but not much more than that. So it's enough to live stream, like, I can't do the math. Yeah, at least 10 times plus extra data for sending messages. And I think it's fine. So I've never gone over that amount. It's a little bit expensive because but I buy it all at once. And then to me, it becomes kind of like an unlimited plan, like 60 gigabytes. It's all I want. I can use as much as I want. And it works really fast. So it's like 4G speeds pretty much. Were you nervous when you were gearing up for your first ever Korea trip? I don't think so. I think I was just more concern with speaking Korean more than anything. Because I had already been to Japan before, and I know Japan isn't like Korea, but I'd already had experience traveling to Asia. So I wasn't like, oh no, what if I can't cross my legs and use chopsticks? Will I die? I wasn't concerned about that. I knew I would have culture shock, but I knew it wouldn't be a big issue. But I was just more concerned with, will I be able to communicate? Will I be able to learn Korean well? Like all those sorts of things. More related to just Korean, not so much being in Korea, I guess. I was kind of excited though. So yeah, I mean, excited in the sense of, yeah, I was nervous because I was excited about going there, but I wasn't like nervous, scared, I guess. Okay, I'll take questions just 5 more minutes and then we'll stop for today. Because I got to edit the video that we filmed today. I got to edit this live stream. If you're one of my members also, you'll get to watch the edited version of this live stream tonight. Oh, I see. Visa stuff, booking a place. Okay. Visa stuff. Yeah, you don't have to do any visa application besides, I recommend get the I think it's the KETA. I could check exactly what it is. There is a document you want to fill out within like 48 hours before you fly into Korea. And it takes less than 5 minutes to fill out. And it's not like some super official document you apply. It's just a little website. You put in your name on your passport number, the day you're leaving, the place you're leaving from, where you're leaving to. And then you just click OK and it gives you a QR code on your phone and you just screenshot that. And then when you get to Korea, when you're waiting in line and they have the like check your documents you wrote on the plane and all that stuff, you can skip that. You just hand them your QR code and they scan it, you walk right through. If you didn't do that, if you just went to Korea and didn't know there's anything you had to do in advance, then you're going to be filling out your arrival card on the airplane, which is kind of annoying because like you have to get your passport out of your bag and write it down on the little tiny table. You're like this, trying to not bump the person next to you while you're writing down your information. It's kind of a nuisance to do that. So if you fill out that in advance, that saves a little bit of time. But you're from the USA, so you don't have to do any special like visa application. It's just 90 days automatically. For booking a place to stay, that I spend the most time on for my trip. That's what I spend the most time planning and thinking about, because whenever I go to Korea, it's not for a short trip. I'm like living there. So I pick places that have a washing machine in my room. That way I can do my own laundry machine, not washing machine, laundry machine in my room. So I can do my own laundry. I also pick rooms that have an elevator at the building. I get ones that have make sure they have their own shower as well. So I don't have to like waste my time walking out and getting everything ready and then walking back to my apartment. It's all there. I can get ready by myself. I also want one that has Wi-Fi, though they usually all do, and also an air conditioner, which they usually all do. Or you'd want a heater. If it's in the winter, you want one that has floor heating, preferably ondol, which is the floor heating, and not like radiator or a different type of heating system. What else do I like? I also like ones that aren't a closet bathroom. So it's not a tiny bathroom, but like an actual separate room for the bathroom. And then I look at the shower placement. I'm sorry, there's like too much information. You probably don't care. I'm just letting you know what things I specifically look for when I'm booking a place. Look at the location of the shower. If I turn it on, is it going to hit the door? Seems very specific, but no, this is very common. If you turn on the shower, will the shower stream hit the back of the bathroom door? Because if it does, that means you cannot use that bathroom like a regular shower. It means you have to turn it on while holding it. And I hate having to shower like that. I want to be able to place it down, shower, and then hold it to wash myself off, but not the whole process. And I also don't want to turn it on, get myself wet, soap myself up, and then wash it off. Like, I want to be able to take a regular shower. So that's another thing. And if if you can't get around that, then that means you need to go to Daiso and buy a $1, like a shower curtain and a curtain, shower curtain bar So that's another like $2 or $3 you have to go buy on the first day and put that up in the apartment, and the rings to go with it. They're all sold separately. Put them all up in the shower. And anyway, so those are some things I do. What else do I pay attention to? Oh yeah, location. Within 10 minutes or less from a bus stop. They'll always like to fib how long it takes to get to a subway station. They'll say, oh, only 8-minute walk to the nearest subway. But in reality, it's a 15-minute walk unless you go fast. So I've had that before. So yeah, at least less than 10-minute walk to the nearest subway. Or if you have a major bus stop next to you that actually services lots of different places, that's okay too. Let's see what else. I think, what other things do I look for in an apartment? A desk. So that's more for me to be able to do work. I also need a place that has storage space so I can put my equipment. And that's a little harder to find also. You probably won't need to do that. Check the size of the room to see that there is at least one bed size of empty space in the room. So that way you can put your stuff. Some rooms will have the bed and then there's like a little sliver of space around it. It's not going to be enough space to pack your bag when you're leaving. So you want at least an extra bed worth of space around you, somewhere you can place your suitcase and open it and organize your stuff. What else is good? I also check their amenities to see that they list that they include like fresh towels available. You don't need a dryer. You don't need a clothes dryer, but you do need a laundry, like a drying rack. You can put that in your apartment. That's the basic stuff that I look for when I'm getting a place. Okay, I see I just got a donation. Decoy Octopus. Thank you. Decoy Octopus says, the KTA online is $10? Really? Something, oh, you don't have to do the online it's not the KTA I'm thinking then. There's a QR code. Oh, actually, you know what? You actually might have to do that. Yeah, because I have a different status there in Korea. Yeah, anything you do online in advance will save you a lot of stress when you get there. Because when you arrive, you don't want to be filling out forms on your plane. You don't want to be like, did I write everything down? You just want to walk through. You're going to be like a zombie. Just hand them your passport, just walk through, get your bag, go. Decoy says, I finished your beginner course. Nice. Congratulations. How long did it take you to go through it? 감사합니다. You're welcome. Do you get free rice? Some of the apartments have a little food area where you can like get free ramen or rice or bread, and you can sit down and they'll have like laundry machines there and stuff like that. I'm not a fan of those types of places just because that stuff takes away my time. And when I'm on the trip, and even though I'm there for a long time, like having to spend an extra hour once every 3 or 4 days doing laundry is just not cool. If I have the washing machine in my room, I can throw it in the washing machine and click start, and then I can go outside and get breakfast, or I can go outside and do shopping, or I can even take a shower, do whatever I want, get ready, relax. And then by the time I finish, the laundry's ready, I leave it out to dry and I just go and do stuff. I don't have to like spend extra time going to do my laundry, or going out to a specific place to get, oh, I need to get my ramen here or whatever. It just saves time for me. Turn on the gas if you want to cook. Yeah, I usually also don't go for a place. I don't care about the place's kitchen amenities because I don't cook except for the microwave. I won't do any cooking when I'm in Korea just because it's annoying to do the cleaning afterward, I guess. You have to have a styler in your room. Oh, like you mean like a personal hair styler? Is that what you're talking about? Or is there something else? Madam Midnight Muse says you do live classes? Yeah, I've done like 200 or something. 200 live streams. They offer free kimchi and rice. Yes, some of them do. Some of the Airbnbs I've stayed at have free rice and kimchi and some sides and like ramen and stuff like that. And they have like a little kitchen in a shared area if you want, but I've never used it. And I don't think I'd really want to use it. Like, I don't know. It is one way to meet people, though, although you probably would meet other tourists, but it's still not bad. That's not the way that I travel. For the most part, I was doing 2 lessons a week, so it took me like 7 or 8 months. Oh, that's actually good. That's not bad. Yeah. Cool. Decoy, I would recommend after you finish that, you could go right into the conversation course, which is 20 lessons in the video class, or there's 25 in the book. But anyway, yeah, 20 more lessons of like full conversations. The level it'll be a bit of a jump. Like you'll feel like, oh, this is like much more difficult. But there is no information in that course that you didn't already get in the beginner course. So it does assume that you've just barely finished the beginner course and are now trying to go into some real conversation. So yeah, it'll be a bit of a jump as far as getting used to it, but everything's in there. If you've taken notes, there won't be anything. It's not assuming that you know stuff that you wouldn't know. Why don't you buy property in Korea? It's a good idea. But no, I don't own a house in Korea, unfortunately. Talking about rice as I'm eating hibachi. Kai is sitting in the Adobe-owned Benihana restaurant in the basement. It took me 3 months to finish the entire Korean Made Simple. 3 months? That's ridiculously fast. I don't know how anyone could read those all in 3 months. Yeah, you would have to be obsessed to do that. Okay, let's just 1 or 2 more questions, and then we'll close the live stream for today. I really got to start editing the lesson from today. I've been doing a lot of listening and reading on my own, so some of the beginner lessons I'd already encountered. Oh, that's great. Yes. And then hopefully if everything goes well, sometime in November, I'll be filming the first podcast episode. So you won't get to see that. You won't get to hear that right away. I'm going to have my Patreon members will get to hear the podcast first. And I think you'll get the first 3 episodes of the podcast before anyone else has seen them. And then everyone else will start to get to watch it. So I'm hoping sometime at the end of November, I'll be able to release the first one for Patreon members. Say hi to Jeremy, our little teacher. Yeah, Jeremy's doing good. Podcast Christmas present. No, it should be done before then. Like, my goal is this month. Yeah, my goal is this month to have partially built the set, which is pretty big because I've got a lot of stuff to do for that. And then next month, before next month is over, to have the set 100% built. Like everything, all the props, everything in it, and do a test. So I'll have a actual full test of what the podcast is going to be like sometime before the end of next month. And then that means November, I'll have written the first few episodes, and I'm hoping to do filming in November. It pays off, though. I can understand a lot of Korean speech if I'm familiar with the vocabulary being used. Oh, that's good. That's really good. Evolving Brain says, when are you going to Korea again? Probably going to be in May. Again, May of next year. I would go earlier. Like, I did go twice in a few years. 2021, 22, 23. Those years I went twice each year. But last year I just went once in the summer, and this year I went once in the summer. I'll probably go just once in the summer next year. The reason is just time, because in order to go again this year, money is another issue. It costs, $2,000-$3,000 to take a short trip to Korea for me. But the other issue is just not wanting to take out 3 weeks of time when I'm right now trying to do the podcast. So if I were to do that, I really wouldn't be able to deliver the podcast before Thanksgiving, which is what I really want to have that done. So I'm not going to do a Korea trip this year. Again, I already did one, but next year we'll see if I can maybe put out another book sells really well, or maybe the podcast does really well, then maybe I'll do 2 trips to Korea next year. We'll see. I don't know. I like getting to Korea at least once a year. I'm definitely going to be there, and usually for about 3 months. But it's good if I could get there twice. We'll see how next year goes. All right. Do you ever feel like you're spreading yourself too thin, like butter spread over too much bread? Is this what you're asking? Not really, because I'm not doing more than I can handle. I'm just doing a lot of different things at once. And I'm not setting my deadlines unrealistically either. Like I said, I wanted to start filming the podcast and have the first episode out by Thanksgiving. That's not a hard deadline, but even that deadline is it gives me a lot of time. Like I said, I want to have the set done before the end of October. So then writing and filming the first couple episodes within a month after that gives me a lot of time to do planning and stuff. So not really. It does feel like I'm doing a dozen things at once, but I think it's okay. It's a realistic deadline. Okay. All right. And that is all for today. Thank you for coming, and I'll see you again next time. We won't have a live stream next Sunday though, but in 2 weeks, I'll see you again. 그럼 다음에 또 봐.